Proud of you.
This way. There we go. And let me see my phone right there. Only 2 minutes late. This is a sure phone. Okay, now we're live there. Let's go live here. Maybe later. All right, we are live. Unable to start live video. Maybe not. I mean,
The technical challenge.
very technically challenged, but we should be in a minute. Guys, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. I wanted to become like that. 2 lives going at one time. Are we there? It's got to be this one. Try something else. I think we're live. Yep, I think it's a problem, but I was in 2 different places. Can't slide over there. Where you go to make sure we in this thing. My microphone here. right, sorry about that, guys, but we had a little technical difficulty, okay? We're not idiot proof here, so, but anyway, this is what happened. Thank you guys for being patient with me. And because this, once again, this is you guys, Sam Hutchins from the It's a Wrap with Reggie and Sam podcast. And here today with me is my good friend, the second time we've done this. We did this at an event, I want to say back in, what, was it July, May, July, somewhere? Somewhere around there. And again, it was, this is part one of a community call to action. What we talked about the subject then, and it is now, it's called fentanyl. But I'm going to let you tell you a little bit, let you tell a little bit about herself, and we're going to dive right into this. Of course, we'll be looking for you guys to be in the chat. Again, special shout out to AHF, Rural Women in Action, It's a Wrap with Radio Sam podcast, Xavier's Journey podcast, and anybody else. We call it because call to action for all community leaders, youth pastors. This is a serious problem that needs a lot of attention, and we're here to see what we can do. Like a lot of times we don't have the answer, but it can be found in a conversation, and we hope that this conversation will spark many that will get us to where we need to go. Ms. Brandon, just go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself.
I own and operate the Genesis Center located right here in Winder, and we are a clinic that does medications for opioid use disorder. And it used to be called something different, but now we call it that. That way people understand that it is a disorder. It is not a moral failing. We are a judgment-free place that you can come and get sober. And that is what we're about.
Wow. And where is that located at? Because I don't, a lot of people probably didn't even know that Winder had this. And I think that was one of the topics that we tackled, that we brought up when we had our first encounter here, talking about this. And the subject today, ladies and gentlemen, is fentanyl. We talking about the fentanyl crisis. I personally have had 3 people that I've known personally, people that I watched grow from kids. They didn't make it, into their 30s, and some of them, died, before they were 50. And that's way too long. That's way too early. So I guess what we can do right now is, Debbie, tell us exactly what it is, what fentanyl is.
Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is man-made. It is a poison. It is cut with many different things, one being rat poison, embalming fluid. And I try to explain it to patients when they come in. A lot of them take pills. They take pressed pills. They don't understand what that pill is. So I try to explain it like this. I know that everybody has seen the picture of the penny with 2 or 3 grams of fentanyl beside it, right? It's just 3 little grams that look like little pieces of salt. So you've taken a whole pill. That pill is filled with all kinds of different things, whether it be another drug. Xylazine is one of them now, which is really bad, and it has hit Winder. Been here for quite some time, actually. So that pill that you take, those 3 little grams is the fentanyl. What's the rest of it? The rest of it is poison. It's all poison. It is rat poison, embalming fluid, cut with xylazine, cut with Xanax, cut with MDMA. I mean, you name it, it's there. Cut with meth. They cut it with anything and everything because they're pressing those pills on a table that they've cut other things on. Wow. So, you don't know what you're taking. You think you're taking a pressed Percocet. You think that's what you're taking, but you're not. And that's why we're losing these children. They think they're taking a pill, wow, a Xanax. They're not. And the ones that don't die get addicted very quickly.
And the one thing that I've noticed here in recent, when I say recent, within the last couple of weeks, the age is scary. I think in Gwinnett County, the 14-year-olds.
Mm-hmm. We just lost a 12-year-old in Gwinnett County.
I think about when I was 12. Of course, that's 1974. And some people say, well, they were heroin and all this other good stuff. Because a lot of people say that we didn't have the drugs that we have now. Heroin is a pretty bad drug to have drug choice back then. I just wonder, what is it about a child's psyche that would make them think that I want to be high. I want to be high, because when I was 12, I didn't want to be high.
And I don't know if it's that they want to be high, I
Yeah.
don't know if they wanna fit in. And I do talk to the younger crowd that comes in, and unfortunately, we've definitely had an influx of younger people in the clinic. I do try to talk to them and see what it is that got them started, and most of them say the same thing. I was just taking a pill, my friend had this and I took it, and all of a sudden, if they don't take it, then they get sick. So they continue that cycle because it is so incredibly addictive, and it makes you so sick that you have to continue to take it, or you can't get out of the bed, you can't function.
So when they become addicted to it, what's the addiction like? And I know you can't, because you won't, with no prayer, but try to describe what it's like. Is it different from being addicted to this as opposed to, say, methamphetamine? Or
Absolutely.
older than crack? I don't even know. Is it a different addiction?
It is, because the withdrawal symptoms are so different, and I don't feel like they're withdrawing from the fentanyl itself as much as their body is withdrawing from all of the poisons and toxins that they have taken in.
Yeah.
Within an hour and a half, they are sweating, they're anxious, they're nauseous, their legs are restless, they're moaning. A lot of times it is very, very sad to watch. To see the physical that it does to them, let alone the mental part, but the physical that it does, it's no wonder they continue the cycle because they are so physically sick.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. With you being on the front line, and I hate to use that term, but it is a war.
Absolutely.
It definitely is a war. What do you think that we as a society can do to turn this thing, turn it around, or turn it in the right direction? However, do something about it. What would you like to see a community come together and do to help with this crisis?
I wrote a few things down earlier before I came.
Mhm.
One is no judgment, no judgment.
Explain that.
What I mean is people try to hide it and they will not speak about it, they won't talk about it, and they judge. Oh, well, that's just an addict. Well, that person that's addicted is sick. You don't judge somebody that has to take diabetes medication. You don't judge somebody that has obesity and they have to take other medications. You don't judge anyone else. So why do you judge someone that has an addiction? They're already so beat down. By the time they walk in my door, they don't have anything left. The families, and I know it's hard, the support, they need support, they need help. They don't need someone to throw them away. And again, I understand that living with it is difficult, and they steal, and there's all kinds of things that come with someone living in your home with addiction. But they are sick and they need help, so why would you not help them?
Yeah, because and to speak of what you call, because it does with addiction, with most addictions, and it's been my experience as well. We were talking, before we came on, about how a criminality comes along with the addiction. It's like you said, and they would, and I think it's hard to see where you can see yourself, the person who's not addicted, living with someone who is addicted, and you can see that you're trying to help them, but it seems like everything that you do to try to help them is a detriment to you, and it's causing you, and neither one of you get where you do that. How do you stay with someone like that? I mean, is there a common ground you have to, because sometimes, I know for me, when I was in a situation like that, it came down to my self-respect, and I was like, you know what, I've given all I can give. This is just what they are. I gotta give this to me. I'm losing me now, and if I lose me, I can't help her anyway. Help them anyway.
Yeah, and definitely there is a fine line. I mean, that is a difficult line. If you're living with someone that has an addiction problem and they're stealing from you, and they're lying, and everything in the home is toxic at that point, It is hard, and you have to set your boundaries and, set your space, your
Yeah.
boundaries. And whatever that looks like is different for each and every person, that, it does look different. But all I'm saying is, if they come to you and they say, I'm sick and I need help, help them get the help that they need. Sometimes we want it way more than they do. And
Yeah, and therein lies some of when it comes to people having the difference between the empathy and sympathy for it.
Mhm.
Because some people, because rock bottom is different for everybody. This is one thing that I have learned.
Yep.
It's different for everybody, and some people takes them a lot longer to get to it. Some people it doesn't take that long to get to it.
Very true.
But I guess what I'm saying is that what is it that a society needs they need to know to become part of the solution and not become the problem? Because I think when it gets back to like what you said, when you start talking about judging somebody, now you're part of the problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that we face with what we do is, and even we deal with defects, and we deal with every, we deal with the sheriff's department, which by the way has been amazing. They have really, really stepped in and tried to work with us
Shout
and
out
not
Judge
against
Smith,
us.
okay?
Absolutely, shout out to them, because, they work with us and not against us, and that is very important. It's just, as a society, I think we need to speak. We need to speak up. Stop the stigma of what we do. And again, federally, they have changed the verbiage of what we do.
When you say that, how many these verbs when they change?
So it used to be medication-assisted treatment. That's what we did. Now, we provide medications for opioid use disorder. My daughter just created a shirt, it's really
Really?
cool,
Okay.
that says medications for opioid use disorder is sobriety. It is sobriety. Sobriety comes in many different ways. It can come by going to a faith-based one-year program, and some people it works, some people it don't. Some people need medication. Some people need medication to lose weight, some people don't. They can
Yeah.
change their diet. It, just speaking up and talking about it and not hiding it and being ashamed that you have someone in your family that has an addiction issue, so you try to hide it under the rug, that doesn't help. It doesn't
See.
help.
Yeah.
It just, we need to speak up, and we need to educate.
But-
That's probably my biggest thing is, back in the day, we used to have DARE,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah,
Back in the day, why don't we have something in these
And-
schools in place for these children?
And you said that segue to my next question. Why do you think that it's not? Part of what made me want us to do this, of course, we've lost some beautiful young people here in this community, and I could see the hurt from the parents and the grandparents and the cousins and everybody young, younger than 20-something years old. But I just don't see. The outcry just seems like it's just from that family, and it's like almost like I guess for lack of a better word, we've become desensitized to it because it's something that it's almost like we've gotten used to it, and oh, that's a shame. So and so died from that, man. I can't believe that, and then that's the end of it. You see what I'm saying?
It is the end of it for everybody. They just want to throw it away and hide it. And I try to, okay, I'll say it like this. We lose 300 people per day to an overdose. They die in America. In America, over 300 per day. If we had a plane crash every day with 300 people on it, would it be in the media?
Oh my God, all over.
Would it be in the media? I mean, so why don't we talk about this?
Yeah, and get back to your point about DARE. I went to a couple and they talked about drugs in general, and they were never really and I can recall they were not as specific. But I think something that the model for the DARE program will work. But now I think it will be even more because now you can be more specific about it. And of course, then you get into the, well, how young is it? Because if you're exposing it to them, then maybe you're raising their curiosity, you make them, but, what is too young? I mean, 12 years old, the 12-year-old and 14-year-old
It-
girls,
yeah.
they're dead.
They're dead, and so if somebody were to have able to have spoke with them, discussed with them that, hey, that pill that somebody gives you, whether it's a Tylenol or a Xanax or whatever it may be, that may take your life. If they know that, do you think they would take it? I think they would not. Most would not.
Yeah,
If it was presented in that manner, that that pill may take your life.
yeah, and because, and sometimes it may be, you got a pill from somebody that you didn't know, kept it, you know, for maybe I'll eat it later, and then a friend of yours says, hey, I got a headache, yada, yada, yada. No, I got what, they trust you
They trust you.
because they're your friend.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So
That's
you go ahead,
exactly
you
right.
don't think anything about it because it's coming from somebody you know, but they got it from somebody that you don't know. And I think if you start to hammer home stuff like if you didn't see it come out of a pack, or you didn't see it come out of a, you know, a wrapper or something like that, don't touch it.
Yeah.
I think those kind of things, could go a long way because, you know, even you go back to with Nancy Reagan and her whole thing was just say no.
Yep.
It was something.
It was something.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It was something, but I think it's almost like when you just pretty much left on your own to figure this out, and we're going to way too many funerals.
We are.
And
This generation.
I just want to know what the answer is because, like I said, I've lost some people that I love. I mean, like I said, people that I've known, I watched them grow from 9, 10 years old, and now they're gone.
I think education will hammer that again. You know, if there's anybody listening that's in the school system, yeah, I reach out all the time and no one
What do they say?
responds. No one responds. I
From the
mean,
school system.
yeah, it's really funny how it is. I mean, nobody wants to talk about it, so if we don't talk about it, it's not happening. That's not the case. The case is we are losing children. When I have somebody walk in my door, which this past week,
Yeah.
we got in less than a week, 10 new patients. All of them, with the exception of one, was under the age of 25. Some of them were age 18 that had been using Crest pills for 4 years, 4 consecutive years. So they started when they were 14 years old. They've had multiple overdoses. They've seen people die, but yet
Does it just take away the emotion of
it does, and unfortunately, it takes away the emotion when you're doing it. And, you know, I think my daughter probably always said that best, that when somebody is using drugs, they get to check out and we don't. We don't get to check out, but that person that's using, they're checked out. So who is gonna be able to help them? The people that love them, that's there for them,
Yeah.
because they're checked out. And we have to hammer it until one day they wanna get help. If not, we're gonna bury them.
and so that, for lack of a better term, it's really a race against time.
It is a race against time because we don't know if that next pill that you take is the bullet. We don't know that. And, you know, I tell my patients all the time, you do not take something from anyone unless you watch it being filled in the pharmacy.
And see, and these are grown people you're telling that, and some of them
Absolutely.
still don't heed that, do they?
No,
Because
because
the
they're sick.
addiction is so strong that
It
they
is so
can't.
strong. It is, and what people don't understand, you know, unfortunately methadone, Suboxone, and methadone especially because it's been around the longest,
Yeah.
has a bad rap. Well, you're trading one for another. You're not.
Explain that, because I when you said that back when we did it earlier, but then I was at another seminar, something like this, and they said the same thing, but they didn't really go into it. Explain that, because somebody who's, I guess, desensitized already, because that's a comment, to me, that's a very insensitive comment to make, especially if you don't have the knowledge.
It is an insensitive comment to make, and it honestly, it makes me mad when I hear somebody say that. And
Yeah.
some people don't even come into treatment because they think that. They think, well, I'm just trading this for another, I'm trading one drug for another. First of all, you're trading a poison that you're taking that could kill you
Yeah.
for a medication that can save your life.
So even that in it itself lets you know that it's different.
Yeah, it is incredibly different. It doesn't get you high, and that's part of the bad rap as well. If you're still using drugs and you take methadone, if you're taking Xanax, for instance, and you take it, can you get a sedative effect? Yes. But it's not made to get you high. It's made to take the withdrawal symptoms away. That's what it's made for, and it works. And the one thing that we have found out, which is really interesting, and I think it is because fentanyl is not a real drug. I call it poison because that's what it is.
Yeah.
When somebody gets into treatment and they're on methadone and they're still using until we get them to the point that they can get through a 24-hour day without having any cravings, their chances of an overdose are 76% less. 76% less if they're still using. And the reason for that is because methadone binds to the opiate receptors in your brain. So you have opiate receptors. That is why people end up having to use, because fentanyl and everything, it binds to those receptors. Methadone binds harder, so it can't get through. So it is a life-saving medication,
So
not a drug.
Okay, so let me get this right. So when you say what methadone does is like it puts a barrier
It puts a barrier, absolutely.
between the nerve, is it the nerves or what?
It puts a barrier between that receptor.
Receptor.
So that receptor, that's where, we all have them. We all have receptors, and that's what makes us be able to function normally, get up, have emotion, feel good, all of those things, and it produces endorphins. It produces the things that you and I can produce normally. The people that get on fentanyl, get on drugs, those things can't be produced on their own anymore because their brain has been trained to do it with the drug, to do it with the fentanyl.
So it needs a stimulus.
It needs something to get it to where it can fire right again. And that's the way we try to explain it. You can fire on your own again because you're not able to do it.
Yeah.
You're not able to. And it takes about 2 years for the
2
brain to
years?
heal.
2 years?
For it to heal.
Wow. And see, and you going back to what you were talking about, the school system not really wanting to get behind the education of this. I don't understand that. Maybe somebody can come on and tell me what's the drawback to this. But and I could be wrong with this too. I don't think churches are adhere to the same rules as school. I don't understand why it's something like maybe an outreach program or something like an ongoing teaching about the dangers of fentanyl. Because of shout out to Tammy Kenny, because one of the things that she has in the works is she wants to start doing workshops, about Narcan.
Yes.
Get educating people about Narcan. But I think, and that's one aspect of it. But I think if we could put more of an effort of prevention.
Prevention.
That's the thing to stop somebody from being the next one to do it. Because again, go back to the crack era. I guess you could call it. We still call it crack era. As bad as you saw what somebody went through, it's like, and there's a comment I used to make. As bad as that drug has turned that person to, somebody's gonna get on that every day. Somebody's gonna try that every day. And I don't think it's as simple as you saying, well, they're thinking. I don't think that they're thinking. I could be wrong, but again, I don't think they're thinking is, well, that's not gonna happen to me. I just want to get high.
Right.
But that won't happen to me. And I don't think it's that simple. But maybe it is. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's that simple, and I think that maybe some people do that. Okay, well, I just want to get high, and they do try it, and then when they try it, they're addicted. I mean, it does not take but just a minute to be on this to get addicted to it. Your body craves it. So that's the unfortunate part, and the drug dealers have learned really well, what to cut everything with, to where somebody craves it and wants more and more and more. And that's the other part too that we see, that when they do come into us,
Yeah.
when they first started, they were only taking one pill, or they were only snorting one time a day, and then all of a sudden, within a certain amount of time, it's every hour and a half. So, you know, it's more and more and more. And there's a difference too with methadone, Suboxone, any of the, there's only three drugs that have been approved federally to treat opiate use disorder.
And what are they again?
That is methadone, Suboxone, Subutex, those are both the same. One has Narcan in it, one does not. And Vivitrol, which is a shot that you can take, that's a once-a-month shot.
Once a month?
Yeah.
Okay, and none of it, how much of this stuff, I mean, funding, I mean, and I know there's gotta be an ongoing battle, with, you know, stuff trying to be cut, and some people say, well, it's a waste of time, and all you need to do is get that mindset in the wrong people who in charge of, you know, funding and stuff like
Right.
that, and next thing you know, you're not getting half of what you need, because I'm pretty sure, you really don't have, when it comes down to it, you really don't have everything you need to be successful as you want to, I'm guessing, again.
No, we certainly don't have everything that we need. You know, we pretty much pay for everything out of pocket. I will say that we did just get one small grant from the county.
Yeah.
We're working on another grant right now. So we literally had to open a Genesis Center outreach division, to where we had a nonprofit division to even be able to start that journey. You know, so again, there's not a lot of things out there that we qualify for because of what we do. You know?
Why wouldn't you qualify for it? This is a public service that
Yeah.
needs to, we're not saving the whale, we're saving lives, you know?
Exactly, exactly.
It's a necessary, you're trying to save lives, so. And I understand, you know, cause you know, the big catchphrase now is, you know, Doge, you know, government's, you know, government, Department of Government excess, they're cutting out money that they think doesn't deem necessary and waste. But I just hardly see that an effort to save lives, why would that even be considered a waste?
I don't know, and I don't think that it is. It's just so difficult to get grants
Yeah,
in,
well,
in
you're talking about a
general.
nonprofit, I know how
You know,
difficult that is.
It is
Because a lot of
difficult.
people a lot of people trying for that same grant, and they only gonna give, you know.
Absolutely, there's
That's
only
up
X
against
amount of
that too, so.
dollars, so you're up
Yeah.
against, you know, you're up against a whole bunch of different other people trying to get those same dollars.
Yeah.
You know, and what we do is so incredibly cheap compared to what is going on out there in the world. I mean, for $12 a day, that's what it costs to come into treatment. It's $12 a day. That gets you a full staff we have a medical doctor on staff 3 days a week. We have a pharmacist, we have a physician assistant, we have a nurse practitioner, we have an RN, we have 2 LPNs, we have a medical assistant, we have 5, 6 licensed counselors, some in trauma care.
Yes.
So, you know, it's a full wraparound service. You get a full physical when you come in. A lot of people haven't had any medical assistance or help, blood work, anything in years.
Wow.
You know, so first thing we do is a full physical and make sure that there's not anything else going on with them, and get them the referrals that they need.
Do you sometimes find something else that's going on with them besides that?
Most of the time.
Really?
And more so lately because fentanyl is cut with xylazine, which is a new,
There's that word again, yeah.
there's that word, it causes open wounds on people. It's almost like your skin rots. So we have had several patients, recent, that have come in that has open wounds. So we've got to get them to the right place to get that doctored and taken care of, because they don't want to heal correctly. I mean, I have a girl right now who is 20 years old that has an open wound on her shoulder that they're having to pack, that came from the xylazine.
Came with silence.
Yeah.
Man.
A beautiful young girl, and she had no idea that that's what that was until
Really?
until we told her. She had no idea. A lot of them, and we'll lay the drug test out in front of them,
Yeah,
when they come in after we've tested them. That's one of the first things we do. And most of the time, it'll light up the screen, you know, there'll be 13 different things in there, and they'll say, well, I only just did this. They have no idea.
that was.
No idea, you know, and that's powerful, to be able to lay that in front of them and say, did you know that this was in your drug screen, or this was
And when
in
they
it?
find out, does it change their perception or
A lot of
perspective?
times they cry, a lot of times they're just in complete and utter denial.
Saying that it's wrong.
You know,
That's
how, you know, how? Because you took something that you don't know what it is. You don't know what it is.
And I guess from somebody else's perspective, and when they see somebody dying from this, and the hard thing to understand, why is death not a deterrent? Why don't you see one person die from it? Why wouldn't that stop? But it doesn't. It just seems like it gets worse.
I think that by the time that they're in that environment and they see somebody who has overdosed, they've seen so many overdoses at that point that they are desensitized, like we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, they just, and again, they're in active addiction, so they're not thinking right. Their thinking is not straight.
It's not logic.
It is definitely not that.
It's not logic.
You know, it's not logic, and it's sad. You know, our job is to meet them where they are, don't judge them, and help them until they can help themselves. That's my job.
That sounds so
That's
much
it.
like the Lord and Savior that I serve, because He meets people where they are.
Yep.
He met people where they are. He didn't stand up in a church on Sunday and say, "Come to me." You see what I'm saying? He went out among the people,
Yeah.
and He was not judgmental. He just come to me, and that's why I'm a big supporter of faith-based treatments and stuff like that. I just believe that once you come to know God, once you come to know who He really is and the power that He has, and that He wants what He wants for you. I just think you have because if you one thing when you do have faith, you have to believe that there's something greater than yourself.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't, who are drug addicts, and so
Yeah.
they can't get to that point. But we as a society, we as Christians, we're supposed to love them to that point,
Absolutely.
so they get there. I mean, I'm 63 years old, but maybe I'm just naive, but I still believe that love conquers all.
It does. It does.
I believe that and call it whatever you want to call it. That's just what I believe.
It does, and I think that that's one of the reasons that we honestly have been successful in
Yeah.
getting people to where they have a job and they get their life back and everything is going incredibly well, because we are non-judgmental. We don't treat someone like they're a drug addict. We don't treat them anything different than just one of our family walking in that door.
Yeah.
You know, when you walk in, you have an entire staff that the only thing we want for you is to get well. That's all we want.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I just cannot understand how people cannot understand that what you do is not who you are in that situation.
Right.
But it's very hard to see past what they're doing but in not being able to see that, there's no way you can see who that person is. Because I don't care what kind of addiction you have, be it fentanyl, be it drugs, be it alcohol, there was a root cause for that.
Right.
And I guess and people are only going to be so honest with you about it, because a lot of people, they don't want to tell you what got them to that point. They just want you to help me, but I didn't understand, to know for us who don't know why you started.
Right.
Because I think that's at the root cause of a lot of stuff. That if you could just find out why they started it and get them back to before they were doing it, get them a mindset, or see them past, being on it every day.
Yeah.
And again, that's what faith-based comes in at.
Well, you definitely gotta have the faith, I mean, you know, to be able to take somebody from the time they walk in the door, and
Yeah.
so one of the things that we have to do is take a picture when they come in, because we have to match that picture up when we give them medication, the nurses do.
So you want to see if they look better.
So a month down the road, it is amazing to be able to show them that picture and see the difference,
Yeah.
and see the change, and actually see them put the weight on and look well and healthy. I mean, that part is amazing.
And just to be proud of themselves again.
Absolutely, because, you know, again, when they come in, the head is hung low, and they have been beat pretty hard. You know, society has beat them down, and people will say, well, they did it to themselves. Maybe they did in the beginning, maybe they did. You know, they chose to take that pill, they chose to do this, they chose to snort this. That is true, but again, it's addiction, they're sick.
Well, again, something drove them to that point where they got to this, you know what, I gotta do something, my life is, you know,
Yeah,
if I can just forget about it for a minute.
well, they
I
check
think
out,
that's-
they
yeah,
wanna
checked
check
out,
out,
you say,
you
yeah.
know, but we call it checked out. A lot of them do have trauma, you know, they do have childhood trauma, they have things that did happen, a lot of them didn't.
Yeah.
It just is that I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to take some pills with my friends, and all of a
This is what
sudden,
it turned into.
that addictive gene turned on, and, you know, you're off to the races, and you're sick before you know it.
It's interesting that you say, because back when they used to call heroin, you know, the white horse, that's what they call heroin, the white horses. So it's like, oh, did you just, ironic to just say that. That's
Well,
what they call it.
and honestly, I wish that's what we were dealing with, and not this poison that we're dealing with.
Yeah, because,
I would rather be dealing with a heroin addiction,
why is that?
because we know what it is. Heroin was real, it was heroin. We don't know what it is that you're taking. We don't know what the side effects are of all of these poisons that you're ingesting in your body, whether it be snorting it, smoking it, IV, you know, we have all of the above.
Yeah,
So we don't know. We have no earthly idea what the long-term effects are. We know it's not good. We know they're ingesting poison. We know that. But we do not know long-term effect. We have no idea. We don't have that data yet.
wow. And so you're dealing with so much of an unknown.
You are.
And that's really difficult, because it's hard to game plan for the unknown.
It is. It really
You can't
is.
say, well, okay, well, especially if you don't know. And we talk about law enforcement, how you talk about, y'all got a great partnership with the Barrow County Sheriff's Department.
We do have
Shout out to Judge Smith
Yeah.
and that awesome sheriff's department that they got there. On the ramifications for the drug dealers who deal in this poison, as you call it correctly, so, has the laws changed, or did they tighten them up, or?
They have tightened them up, and I do sometimes wonder why someone is not in jail, because
Yeah,
you know, I know that this person bought this from this person. You know, I sometimes wonder, why are you out? This person overdosed and died. Why
that's part of it.
why is this person still
Yeah,
out there on the street? Why? First of all, you know, nobody's gonna turn them in, because everybody's buying from them, they're not turning them in. And I do think that as we see it getting harder, and people do get to go to jail and
Yeah.
get charged with murder, because that's what it is.
so that's what I was
That's
going.
what it is. If we see that more and more, maybe people will think a little harder before they sell these pills.
Yeah, because that's why I was
drugs.
going with that, because I know that if a person knowingly affects someone with HIV, and that person contracts HIV, and they die,
Mhm.
that's manslaughter.
That's right. And the laws have changed, and that's the way that it is. It's just, how do you prove that they bought it from this particular person?
Yeah.
Because-
Well, so yeah, because HIV would be different, because you know you got that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
nobody's talking.
And if they get HIV, I think it's, what do they call it, attempted murder. In some places, it's attempted murder. And then if they do want to go ahead and evict, then they call it manslaughter.
No, I mean, nobody's talking.
So why isn't that same, why isn't this drug, which takes lives, held in that same regard?
I think that it is.
Criminality is not looked at this, looked at it.
I think that it is, and I think that they certainly are trying, but again, you have to get someone to come forward to say, okay, well, I know that this person sold this to my friend that just passed away. They're not going to do that because they're actively using as well.
Wow.
So, you know, that, it's a bad catch-22 situation. They're not gonna talk.
Wow, yeah. I just I see in my chat, I'm sorry about that. Hey, Tona, thank you so much. Tammy says we're doing a great job. Thanks, Tammy, wish you were here. But I just want, for me, myself, I just wish it was just more of an outcry from the community. You see what I'm saying? They were more outraged as opposed to, you know, some people going to funerals today or here the next day or two. And these beautiful souls, these beautiful angels fall into this. And I just wish, and like I said, I kind of understand schools, you know, because of legal restraints, insurance and all that stuff. But our churches could, I certainly, in this area, with all the churches, we could come together and do something consistent. I'm not talking about having an event one day. You see what I'm saying? To make it somewhere where they could have classes once a month, you know, once every 2 months about what's going on and letting our young people know that the detriments of all of this stuff.
Educate, I mean, again, education, and I don't see why the schools don't do it. It should be something that is demanded.
Yeah.
It should be demanded.
Yeah.
We should be able to teach in these schools so these children don't go take this pill, so they don't die. I mean, I feel like that is something that.
Hey Kim, Avery, how you doing? Like, good, glad to see you. But I just think because from the first conversation that you and I had, this was right after, you know, the young man was like a son to me, had just passed, and it took everything I could to get through that because we're talking about a subject, and then I'm thinking about I know him.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it became a face for me.
Absolutely.
And then it happened again, and again, and I'm like, but here lately, there's been like a rash. It was just like 4 right in a row, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on? Well, and they were all great kids, as far as I know. Like I said, the interaction that I had, they were great kids, great young people, happy, vibrant, had their whole lives in front of them.
And so, you know, did the parents even know that they were using? So there's that as well.
Yes,
I go back to education. Do you know what to look for? Do you have any idea what to look for when someone is on this?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't. They're not educated, so they don't know what to look for. They may just think that the person is depressed and they're sleeping too much. They have no idea what to look for. So education.
Okay, well, Tona, so again, thank you so much, Tona, for being with us. Appreciate this. She wants to know, do you have a website that we can share to educate others? And that's another thing too. In my nonprofit, well, I think I got 2, but my nonprofit, the Hope for Xavier Foundation, that's something that we talked about we had our meeting early this year, and we talked about the literature, you know, that we're going to start, you know, giving churches, just giving it to them. We're not selling it to them, we give it to them, just to let people know that they have somewhere to go. And of course, we got a website that's going to be coming up too, and we try to go to as many, when somebody's having something, we'll buy a vendor spot, and we'll set up t-shirts, but we got literature and stuff that we'll give away too. And what Tony was asking was, is there a website that you have?
We do.
And I put it in, once I post this, I'll put it in the description. But you can go ahead and shout it out right now if you could tell them what that is.
We do. It's the GenesisCenterOfWinder.com. That's going to be our website, and there is a resource page. Gives you a lot of resources. So there's a lot of information on there. About addiction. So it is a good website with a lot of education on it.
How often do you guys update it?
Pretty often, about once a week. I think right now we've got, a page on there that, says the Genesis Center at Twilight, because we're actually starting an evening shift as well.
Oh, okay.
Only because we have found that the people that are on fentanyl, they, especially first in treatment, new in treatment, it's very hard for them to get in the hours that we are, so
Yeah.
we're about to start that up and ramp that up to where people can get in the afternoon. Because typically what we do, we get in at 4 o'clock in the morning, we're out of there by noon.
Wow.
So, you know, and the reason for that is that people need to be able to go to work. They're a functioning society. I mean, we certainly have a tremendous amount of patients that you would never know was a patient. They literally are just coming to get their medication once every couple of weeks or once a month and checking in with us, and, you know, they're doing the thing. They're living their life and living it good.
And I don't wanna, put you on the spot or anything, but just in general, cause, you know, cause we talked a lot about, you know, the tragedies of fentanyl, and it's not that we're trying to scare people, it's just that we're trying to educate people. But there is a other side to that too, that makes your work rewarding, it makes it worthwhile, and that's people who are successful on it. Could you share a story or two? You don't have to say a name or anything about where they came from and how they got to it, so let people know that it is possible.
It is definitely possible. I mean, I can share the story of my own daughter that, when she was 21, she was
Yeah.
living in Athens and met a guy that was a lot older than her and took a Roxy, and, you know, she will say the light switch turned on, and that was 6 years of absolute utter hell for us. You know, we went to rehab, faith-based, all faith-based, because
Yeah.
that's what we
See that, and
believed
then
in.
this drives home my point.
You
when I'm
know,
talking about faith.
that is what we believed in, that is what we knew would work. Unfortunately, the damage was done, and she did finally get sober, and she's been sober 7 years and works alongside of me, actually.
Wow, that's great.
Actually, my partner in what we do, so we have that passion, but I can tell you that the reason we have the passion is 7 years ago on Christmas night, she got a pill that was a Xanax from a friend,
Right.
and it took her out. She was dead for 8 minutes.
Ah, goodness. That's legally dead.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was.
past-
I got the
past,
call.
Yeah,
I got the call.
past, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you're like past 5 minutes, that's legally dead.
I got the call. So,
And what was that like, if you don't mind sharing?
it was, gut wrenching.
I mean, you don't have to do it, because I can
yeah.
understand that.
Definitely gut wrenching, and definitely something that I thought that I would get, honestly. I mean, I thought that was going to happen, that we would get that call someday.
You had that expectation, just
We-
any
we
day
did-
I'm gonna get that call?
We did have that expectation.
How you live with that? That's because to expect it any day, one day, my child, who's not 30 years old, I'm gonna get a phone call and I know they're gonna be dead. I mean,
You-
the mindset and the tragic,
Well, you fight, I mean, you fight, and I say this again, you fight for them while they can't fight for themselves.
Yeah.
You fight for them, and that's what we do, we fight until they can fight for themselves.
Wow. Yeah, and I just think that there's more that we could do as a community, because like I said, I kinda understand the restraints with the schools. I kinda do and I kinda don't.
I kinda don't.
But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm more
I
don't
don't.
than I do. Because again, when you pick up the paper or you stroll the internet and you see 12-year-old little girls dying
Yep.
from fentanyl, and the thing of it was, Debbie, 2 days later, it was nowhere to be found.
Absolutely,
It was
nobody
nowhere to
was
be
talking
found on
about
the
it.
internet, it was nowhere to be found in the
That's right.
papers.
That's right.
It's a
Let's-
2-day news cycle and it's on to the next thing.
Yep. 300 of those a day.
Yeah, and
300 of those a
as
day.
Tony said, it's like 300 a day, she said, but again, I just don't, you don't wanna punch somebody in the face and say, hey, look, we need to do something about this, but I think it's gonna be an effort that's gonna have that kind of effect. And I wish, and I hope, with someone listening to this broadcast now, or when you go back and listen to it, now, because it'll be on Facebook Live, I know for a couple of days, but I will post it, and it's being recorded also. I got to shout out to my YouTube channel, because it's being recorded live on my YouTube channel too, and of course I'll upload this one as well. Um, Come on, youth ministers, come on, churches, come on, civic groups, come on, motorcycle clubs,
Absolutely.
come on, social clubs, come on, let's
do
take this thing serious. I mean,
let's do something.
I mean, Debbie, you got so much that you could show us, and so much, and you want to show us.
Yes.
That's the thing. And like I said, and again, shout out to Tammy. Tammy, I hope we can execute this, that we can get it to, having, demonstrations about Narcan, or, just a class about Narcan, when to administer, how to administer, which one to administer. But I just think the effort should be put toward the prevention, because it breaks my heart for a 12-year-old girl or 12-year-old boy. A child.
I promise.
I recently had a tragedy, my son, of course, it was nothing to do with drugs, but losing a child any kind of way.
Yep.
Because that's not the circle of life. The circle of life is
No.
supposed to be your children bury you. You don't bury your children. And to be part of that fraternity, it's not something that you want to be a part of, trust me.
Not
And
at
if
all.
we can do anything, and I just don't think the effort is being made by the people who are in position to make a difference. And that's the thing. They've become desensitized to it. And maybe they're not. And again, I don't want to get into the blame game, because that fixes nothing.
Yeah,
That fixes nothing.
and I'm in several groups. I will tell you that we push hard, and we have some people that's with Georgia Recovers.
Yeah.
Definitely huge in the legislative part of it. They work every day. They work hard, tirelessly. I mean, they definitely bust their butts to try to change the laws and get us where we need to be to educate and do the things that we need to do to help people. But again, what we do is stigmatize so much.
We do.
that It is just, honestly, people should be ashamed. They really should be ashamed, because we are losing children. And children that, I promise, that 12-year-old did not know what they were doing. They did not know.
No.
I promise.
Yeah.
They're 12 years old.
At 12 years old, you're thinking about Disneyland, you're thinking about Pixar movies, you're thinking about, cartoons, you're talking about the mall, you're talking about, and now they're dead.
Yep.
And it's almost like, oh well.
Lost another one.
That's the thing. That's the thing that really bothers me.
Lost another
That's the
one.
thing that really bothers me. I mean, we party, we watch sports, we do all of this stuff, but life is lifing, as they say. Life is happening at a rapid pace. And I said this 10 years ago, which is certainly the truth now. It is so hard to be a kid now than it was when I grew up. We rode bicycles. We picked up Coke bottles and sold them for a nickel to get.
Yes, we did.
You see what I'm saying? That's what we did. We did stuff like, well, I got more Coke bottles than you do. We did that kind of stuff. We played. We didn't have a baseball bat. It was a rubber ball and a stick, and we played baseball with that. And that, but I guess. One of my favorite artists of all time, Dan Fogelberg, he had a song called "The Innocent Age," and that's what you look back. It's gone.
It's gone.
But now, I mean, the innocent age for me was gone when I was, I'm not gonna say that. But anyway, the innocent age now is just wiped out,
It is.
and it's just not lost from an experience. I mean, you're dying. You're dying, and I just know we got people that care about it. I just need to get some people together to talk about putting together an action plan, something that we can do. Somebody far more educated than me, because I could be the first to tell you about this fentanyl thing. I don't know past the point that I just care. I'm not qualified past the point that I care, and I care, and it's more personal because it's some people that I know personally, some people that I've hugged, some people that I've laughed with, some people that I've shared great times with. They're gone. And so that made it personal for me. So then when I see, and again, I'm not gonna call her name, a beautiful young lady, I just, a complete doll, gone. Gone. That should say something to us as a community. Wake up. Let's stop this. Let's do something about this. And I'm going to challenge some people who may see this or may not see this. If you're in any kind of leadership position, be it church, civic group, or whatever, inbox me. Let's talk about this thing. What I would like to do, Debbie, if I could, have you come back. We could do it here.
Absolutely.
And do a roundtable discussion about strategizing. And we don't have to do it on the podcast, but just sit in and just, or we could just televise it because we may some people who have some input that can't make it. But just to sit around, let's do something about this. I mean, we have the chance here to be the model for other counties.
Absolutely.
Clark County may say, hey, look at what they're doing in Barrow County. Somebody went and said, hey, look at what they're doing in Barrow County. Let's lead this charge.
Yeah, and we do have something coming up. We've got, it's called the Rural Rally for North Georgia Recovers.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming up on March 22nd. We're doing it at a church in Jefferson, and I'll make sure that I leave you that information.
Yeah, shout it out now because I can start hammering it home.
Anybody.
Because I'm going to do some more podcasts. And I would love to have your daughter come on and tell her story if she
Absolutely.
would.
She will.
Because
She'll
one
tell
thing
it.
about the strength of transparency and how it helps and leads people is amazing. That's why I always say there's so much strength in transparency. If she would come on and tell me her story, and like I said, whatever she doesn't want to talk about, she doesn't have to disclose. And of course, we'll talk before we go on. But I just think, because that's the thing with my son's autism, Hope for Xavier, it's all about hope.
Right.
And we don't live in a world without hope because there's Jesus. We're not without hope because as long as we got Jesus, we got hope.
That's right.
And that belief in it. And I think that would be great if she would come on because somebody will hear it and won't give up. Somebody will hear it and maybe start to seek treatment.
And it is strong when she tells her story. It's
Yeah.
powerful because she really has been through it. And,
Yeah.
it can affect, again, it doesn't discriminate. It does not discriminate at all. It can affect anyone.
Yeah, and I think that name Genesis is great. There's a friend of mine, Chandra Santana. I think I'm saying her name right. She's got Divas Who Fight for Freedom. Do you know her?
They're actually going to be at our rally.
I got to get back with her too. She actually wrote a book because I think her daughter's name is Genesis, and that's why I say that correlation. I just love that when you tie it to a cause. Because it's about the beginning.
It's the beginning.
It's about the beginning because that's what Genesis.
Mm-hmm. It's the beginning for our patients. It's the beginning of getting your life back.
Yeah, and see, and it was a great book because we did a podcast with her. By the time they get her back on, we did one on human trafficking, sex trafficking, which is something that she knew a ton about,
Right.
and again, that doesn't get enough attention.
No.
Because as bad as it was then, I think if I'm saying, I think it was like 2017 when we did that. Yes, it was way past time for us to do it again.
Yeah.
But she does some amazing work down there in Clark County too, with what she does too. But yeah, if I would love to, I mean, if she would want to come back, say maybe next Wednesday, or tell her to pick a day when it becomes. I usually I'm here Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes on Thursdays. But yeah, I just feel like there's something that can be done. It's time we and like I said, not just put on a program for that. Oh, we're having a fentanyl rally this Saturday. Okay, we have that rally that Saturday. Then what?
Yep.
I think when you have rallies and stuff like that, it should be to let people know what you're doing past that. Because a lot of times people come in with a program. Well, they don't have a program. They have an event without a program.
Right.
And that was one of the things I didn't want to do. I didn't want with the Hope for Xavier Foundation. Like I said, when you come in there, of course, we have the gala. We give the scholarship. But then, hey, here's a pamphlet. You see what I'm saying? Hey, here's a booklet. Hey, you need some help with something in direction about how to do this X, Y, and Z. Here's my card. To put that out there. And it's worked. I mean, and it started working. because I say there's been like 5 people that have come to me and talked about things that they have been lied to about
Right.
services that were available for their young adults.
Right.
And that's another thing to talk about school too, that when they don't transition them to go past school. You just transition them out of school, well, we're done with you.
We're done with you.
You see what I'm saying? Because in yes, let me stop. I think that's the level stations like 21, but what about 22, 23, and so on and so forth. And it's like 5 people that I had to, help them get directions about what it is they can do
Right.
to help them. So it's something that can be done, and like I said, we just put our thinking caps on, and like I said, I'm not an expert in this by no stretch of the imagination, and I'm not qualified past the fact that I care. But Ms. Davis, I know for a fact, and I love what you do, and I know because of the place that it comes from, and I just like you as a person because you got such a great heart because, and I can tell that you care. Because you're not doing this so you can live in a house on the hill. You're not doing this so you can drive the fastest of cars. Your heart, and your heart, speak on it. And I just think that you should, for what you do in your efforts, I just think that you should be more supported in that regard. And we can do it. I just for some reason I just feel like we can. And the efforts that we haven't been putting forward, we need to start. We really need to start. We really need to start. And like I say, to start with like some of the churches, putting the literature in your church. You see what I'm saying? What hurts your handout?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are sitting in those churches.
Absolutely.
They know somebody that's on fentanyl.
Absolutely.
They have an uncle. They have a aunt. They have a sister. They have a brother. They have a cousin. They have a friend. And you're sitting in there praying for them, and you need some information or something like that.
It's not anything to be ashamed of. It's
No.
not a moral failing. That's not what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem. People are ashamed and they feel like that, oh, well, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong.
Life happened to you, and it's something that I say sometimes. And I think I said it yesterday when I was kind of doing a little promo for today, and I just thought we are the sum total of our life's experience. And sometimes it's how we handle stuff. How we handle it is just as different as the individual that we are.
Absolutely.
Because some people are built to handle a lot, and some people aren't. Some people can handle this, but they can't handle that. But if it happens to them, but you got to know that it's a way out. There's a better way.
There's a better way.
And like we said, I still say faith-based is the best way to go.
And I agree.
would stand on that.
And I agree.
Faith-based.
Even though I'm governed by 8 different entities,
Yeah.
you can't take the Jesus out of the building in there.
cannot.
You can't take it out.
No, you absolutely cannot. And I'm a living testimony of that because I don't know where I would be without it. And I stand on that.
Yeah.
And that's why I was, glad when Tammy told me that you agreed to do this. And again, like I said, I'm calling on AHL, Rural Women in Action. Of course, It's a Wrap with Radio Sam podcast. We are the podcast of the people, Xavier's Journey. I'm calling on people, the brotherhood community. I'm calling on people, let's do something about this. Let's show our community that we can stand up. United, we can do this. I have no doubt in my mind that we can do this. And I heard, and again, I hate I got to the chat late, but I do appreciate you, Tona. I saw you in the chat, Tammy, and Miss Kim Avery, I saw you in the chat too as well, and anybody else that I didn't. But again, Miss Bradley, before we get out here, would you give them the website again?
It is the Genesis Center of Winder.com.
Okay, got that? The Genesis Center of Winder.com. Okay. And I'll put it in the description when I do repost this. And if you got some ideas about how we can accomplish what it is we try to accomplish, or anything that we talked about today, if you got an opposition or something we said, or if you would like to add something to what we said, yes, the show will be over, but you can still comment, you can still call me. Like I said, you can reach me via Facebook Live, Instagram. Of course, you got our YouTube channel. We're on our way to 10,000 subscribers. Okay, we're sitting right at 9,514. I think is what the last one I checked was. So I'll know if we got some new subscribers. Hoping that we do that. We're on our way to 10,000. We got a big celebration plan for when we do that. And I would love to, if you want to, we could do a live audience here, you know, as a podcast, where you could ask Miss Debbie questions. And she can give you firsthand knowledge, firsthand information. And this is not something that's speculated. This is not something that she thinks, this is what she knows. Because that's one thing about it, she's gonna be honest. And if she doesn't know, she'll tell you she doesn't know.
Yep.
But she will find you an answer for it, because there is an answer for it. But if you got anything else you want to add before we leave here?
That's it, just don't put it under the rug, put it out there, educate.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as we always like to say at the end of the podcast, Rick, I don't know what happened to you. I thought you were gonna come on and join me, but you didn't. But again, thanks for everybody that was watching. We'll repost this, and I'll tag as many people as I can, and I'll put that information, put your website and how to get in touch with you. And again, thank you everyone for watching. Again, AHF, Rural Women in Action, we got some work to do. And like we say at the end of every podcast, it's a wrap. Thank you, man.
You're welcome.
I think that went well.
It always does.
It does. It does. It does. It does. It does. I can sit and talk to you for hours. Because again, I just love it what you're doing, and I want to be a help to what you're doing and put shine a light on what it is that you're doing. And we can do so much more too. Oh,
It's easy.
No, absolutely not.
It's easy.
Absolutely not. Oh, gotta end my life.
And I did bring a couple of the things for the rally. Honestly, you have to bring your guests there. There's gonna be a lot of people.
Let me know.
All you gotta do is sign up. The tables are free. I mean,
They are?
Yeah, they're free. Food's free, everything's free.
Wow.
So, that's, I need Tammy to bring her butt there and everybody bring their butts there. So, that's table registration.
Okay.